58 startups or something. I don't even know how that's humanly possible, but I look forward to asking you about that. Max is also the author of Sales Engagement, Hacking Sales, Career Hacking, and the CEO and founder of Sales Hacker. So you created Sales Hacker. Was that a side hustle? Was that something that you were doing full time? And then how did you sell it to Outreach? How much did you sell it for? Did you get equity? I mean, how did all that work?
Got out of college, didn't want a normal job, in an office building. So I was like, what can I do to make American money while living abroad? So similar to your business, when I was in college to make a little bit of extra money, I was selling likes, like Facebook likes, to small businesses.
Welcome to the top. Oh, yeah. We killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.
Welcome to the top. I'm your host, Paul Salamanca, VP of Global Accounts at Security Scorecard, co-founder of the Top 1%er. Coming back to us today is our good friend and co-host, Tom Bocard, Senior VP of Sales at Global Data. Our special guest today is Max Altshuler. So he's head of marketing for Outreach, who is valued at 1.3 in the most recent round of funding, 1.3 billion. And Max is also an investor, an advisor to many startups. I think I saw a couple of your posts this week, Max, saying that you advise 58 startups or something. I don't even know how that's humanly possible, but I look forward to asking you about that. Max is also the author of Sales Engagement, Hacking Sales, Career Hacking, and the CEO and founder of Sales Hacker. So Max is just like Tom on the golf course, except in business. He's a pro hacker. So hacking is finding different and smarter ways to do things. So I remember when I quit my first corporate job and went full-time into my side hustle right before the Great Recession hit. The timing obviously wasn't the best, but I did it because I found a way to hack Google's algorithm. I was generating a ton of organic leads for my business online. And the producer of this show, my man Parkson, he was my partner in that company. The company is called SkipBrokers.com. So what we would do, we started in NYC. We would generate leads for landlords, rental leads, for tenants who wanted to skip brokers. And brokers in New York charged a crazy amount of money, almost like paying for a down payment in a house. So I found a way to, I think Google at the time had local listings where you would put the name of your company up and it would come up on the top of the searches. But instead of putting Skip Brokers, I would actually put our keywords like NYC no fee apartments. And I started to do that and I realized that, holy shit, we were actually on top of Google for so many keywords. And what I started to do, and back then Google would have to validate that that was actually your business address. So I got a postcard in the mail at my house, because I worked out of my home office at that time, basically saying, here's the PIN, go on to Google, type in your code. And I was like, holy shit, I have like 12 friends that live in the city. And I just started opening up 12 satellite locations around NYC, just putting my friends' addresses there. And I would just text them and say, hey, when you get something in the mail from Google, just text me the code. We were crushing it with a ton of leads. That company ended up going from NYC to over 5 million apartments in over 50 states. Parkson, thanks so much for all your help, bro. That was fun. But that's hacking business. All right, so let's start first with Sales Hacker. I've always been intrigued by that and how that even happened. So you created Sales Hacker. Was that a side hustle? Was that something that you were doing full time? And then how did you sell it to Outreach? How much did you sell it for? Did you get equity? I mean, how did all that work?
Got out of college, didn't want a normal job, in an office building. So I was like, what can I do to make American money while living abroad? So similar to your business, when I was in college to make a little bit of extra money, I was selling likes, like Facebook likes, to small businesses. Arbitrage. So like I would charge somebody, a couple $100 for, 1,000 likes or something like that. And then I'd go on Fiverr and buy, a package of 1,000 likes for like $5.
Love it, dude.
This is really liked it because
Nice.
now it's like all of a sudden this bar is like really popular. They got 25,000 likes, and it was really good social proof. So these companies really liked it, and it was like quick, easy money. So I was like, well, if I could do that, I wonder what other areas of arbitrage there are for social media businesses. So I started a social media company strictly to make American money while living abroad, took it to Costa Rica and Nicaragua for 5 months. And then when I was over in Costa Rica and Nicaragua, we were trying to start our own businesses, but we didn't really know our ass from our elbow when it came to, what it took to start a company. So every dollar we made just went a lot further. So if we, had a 20K month, we're eating shrimp for dinner every night, we're going, it was great, If we didn't close some deals, then it's like, all right, well, we're having rice and beans for dinner tonight. And then one of our customers brought up Udemy, which is an online education marketplace, and we were telling them how we were learning how to do some of the stuff that we were outsourcing to project manage. And they turned me on to Udemy. I saw they had a business development job available. They had raised a small seed round. I really liked what they were doing with democratizing education. I thought, oh wow, $2 trillion market, just getting started. Market timing was right because everybody had HD cameras on their phones and computers to teach courses. I was like put in this position to scale sales, but here we are with very limited resources. I think I was the 8th employee, 2nd business hire, 1st person to focus on the sales side of the business. And when you're growing a marketplace like that, there's the sales side and the marketing side, and you're growing 2 businesses in one. It's a dual-sided marketplace. So my task was to generate more revenue using less resources, and I called that hacking sales. How am I going to hack this process? What can I do to take a look at what everybody else is doing in their processes and start making them more efficient, or do things where I would save a lot of money and get still like 80 or 90% of the results. So my SDRs were virtual assistants I got in the Philippines from either outsourced companies like TaskUs or Upwork. So I had a team of SDRs that were outsourcers in the Philippines. I armed them with one of the earliest sales engagement platforms, which is ToutApp. I built a bunch of scrapers using Upwork devs that allowed us to scrape sites like, so for example, like if we wanted to find people to teach courses in like iPhone app development, I can go to Amazon or any place that like had instructors who wrote books on this and then turn them into teachers. That was the easiest way to do it. So either go find courses that already existed and tell them to get their stuff on our platform, or to go scrape sites that are publicly listed, like in Google searches, and you can build like all sorts of stuff in Phantom.js and whatnot to scrape the public domain, pull them into docs, and then have the VAs go and enrich them and then reach out to those folks. So we built the process for scaling sales. We grew really fast. Now it's a $3 billion company or something like that.
Damn.
It's 9 years later now. I started September 2011, so about 9 years.
So what do you still have a piece of that or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you, man.
You know it.
Good
Actually,
for you.
I sold about 2/3 of my stock in March and kept the third for to ride it out. But
If you don't mind me asking, give us a range. What was that worth?
High six figures is what I cleared so far.
Yeah. Good, man.
We were growing really fast. Other investors and founders would come to us and say, hey, how are you doing it? And the founders would basically point people in my direction. So I talked to people about the things that we were doing, figured that people really wanted to learn more about it. I started a monthly meetup called just like the Sales Hacker Meetup. It was just 4 of us that were kind of geeking out on this stuff. We said only bring people who add value. Over about a year, it turned into 20 people. By the time we were at the end of like the 20 people before I started the conference, we had Jason Lemkin in there who had just sold EchoSign to Adobe for like $100 million. We had Matt Cameron in there, who was the head of global sales for Yammer when they got bought by Microsoft for like $1.something billion. We had Doug Landis in there, who was the head of sales productivity for Box. We had Armando in there, who was the head of sales for Relate IQ that ended up getting bought for a couple $100 million.
So, dude, when it gets that big, like how much more value could someone new bring? Are people still bringing value, or is it at this point just trying to be in the club?
Well, at 20 people, it was only people who bring a ton of value. Or if somebody was doing like really cool Boolean searches on LinkedIn, or somebody was doing, using Phantom.js to scrape websites, for example, like that's something we would get from the group, and then we'd go back and do it. So,
awesome.
So when I ended up leaving Udemy, went to a company called Attorney Fee. Attorney Fee sold to LegalZoom. They asked me to switch to marketing and move to Austin. I said there's not enough zeros on the check to make me do either of those two things. Now I'm going to Austin and switch to marketing anyway. But a lot's happened in between. When I started, I was making peanuts. I think my first deal was $3K a month. So like $36K annual. Here I am out of college, like maybe a couple months to a year removed because I did the social media company in between.
Yeah.
And so I'm making nothing. We raise our Series A. It's like a $3 million Series A. Again, it's 2011, so like shit wasn't crazy like it is today. I go to my founders and I say, hey, like we just raised our A. I've been working here for 6 months. I'm making nothing. Like gotta pay me. I'm like, I want a 20K raise to get me back up to like, what we'll make. And honestly, still very little. Anyway, they come back and they say, okay, we'll give you the 20K, or we'll give you 10K and double your equity. So I was like, I'll double my equity without even hesitating, double the equity. And I stayed until I hit my second cliff. So I invested the cliff end sum on the first batch and then the cliff worth on the second batch, which ended up being worth, instead of 10K a couple of years later, $500,000 or whatever it is. So,
nice job, dude.
Lesson there: if you really believe in the company, play the long game. So started Sales Hacker, started conference, then the publication, then we did meetups in 32 cities globally. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze on those, so we shut those down. We did a bunch more conferences. We picked up SaaStr. I ran the SaaStr annual for Jason Lemkin for 2 years. And then I also started CMX, which sold to Bevy, which was basically a community manager version of Sales Hacker, with David Spinks along the way. And
so this is on the side?
Yeah, those were on the side.
All right.
Yeah, and then
so how much money are you generating at this point on the side with the conferences and everything like that?
We were doing between like maybe 1.5 to 2 million when it was just conferences, and then we added digital and like doubled that. So when we sold, we were doing like 3.5 million.
Nice, dude.
In revenue with fairly large margins because most of it wasn't from conferences anymore. Most of it was digital. And we charge 10K per webinars. We sell 2 webinars a week. We've got 100,000 subscribers or something like that. So we were doing pretty well, and the work wasn't that much. Sales Hacker was a really good cash flow business. It was bootstrapped, never raised any money, and we had got off good cash flow.
Yeah.
I also built an amazing network, and anybody that was building sales or marketing technology either like wanted my opinion or wanted to get to know us because they were spending money with us, or we had a pretty good network of other people that they could sell to. So there were a lot of obviously also candidates, things like that. So outreach was my first check I ever wrote into a company. I got an intro from a mutual friend, Lars Nielsen, and Manny was just starting outreach. They had pivoted from Group Talent, which was like a recruiting software. We met in Union Square in San Francisco. This was December of 2014. We chatted, and I really liked the way he was approaching the space from a product and customer success standpoint. Like product and customer success first. At that time, they were making everybody go through like onboarding and training videos, and you had to speak to their like head of product for a half-hour customer development session before you could get up and running. Mm-hmm. And it was such a big barrier. Like I felt like, oh my God, who does that? But like that was great. That's like a testament to what they do, and that still bleeds through our culture. It's like product and customer success first. And I thought that was a great way of approaching the space. So I had a great conversation with him, and I knew some of the other angel investors who were stand-up folks. And my dad is my financial advisor because he is a financial advisor. That's what he does for a living, and he manages my money. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to make my first angel check and my first angel investment. He said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, that's so risky. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I can do that. Like, why are you taking
really risky? Yeah.
He just started making money. Like, why are you going to take a risk like that? I was like, I know this space. No, very few people know it better, like sales technology better than I do, considering that I've been running a media company in the space for 2 years formally and 3 years as like a, if you consider the year of a side project. Number one. Number two, and I kind of used like a sales tactic on him. I was like, am I a good judge of people? Or am I a good judge of people? I don't know. You raised me. You tell me. And he was like, yeah, I think so. So I was like, well, I like this guy. And I'm in it. He's like, all right, well, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
So in the conversation, he's like, okay, I'll match you. So he ended up matching my investment.
Nice, dude.
I joke with him now. I'm like, I paid off my childhood. Like every dollar you ever spent on me has been paid back. I don't owe you anything.
That is awesome.
He's very happy. Yeah, he's very happy.
Yeah, that's great.
That'll 1000x for him or something like that. So I don't think he can be unhappy. Actually.
And as you're telling your story, man, I just picture the Hollywood scenes going through like it's a movie.
What if I didn't know anybody? What if I didn't have like an Ivy League thing on my, resume? What do I do then? So I just want to be like the common man's, whatever. Here I am. I did it. I figured it out.
People think because you're hacking, you found the shortcut, but that's not the case, man. You put in probably twice the amount of work just figuring out the hack, and then once that happens, you're hacking your way to success. And I feel you, man. I'm the same way. And just like a wise man, Nas, once said, "Why shoot the breeze about it when you could be about it?" You have an idea, go for it, do it. Stop talking about it.
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.